Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. So, in the heart of Detroit, where the roar of the engine once symbolized American innovation, a seismic shift is underway. We are standing at the crossroad of the automotive evolution, where Ford Motor Company, a titan of the industry, has made a decision that could redefine its legacy. In a world racing towards electric vehicles, Ford has hit the brakes. From ambitious plans to produce electric SUVs and trucks and wanting to catch up to Tesla, Ford has now announced significant delays again, pushing back the electric dream by years. But why? And what does this mean for the future of Ford? Well, let's check it all out and let's dive right in. In a significant pivot to underscore the complexity of the automotive industry's transition to electric vehicles, Ford has announced a series of delays in its EV production timeline, shifting its focus toward hybrid technology. This strategic realignment comes amid mounting financial pressure and the stark reality of profitability challenges within the EV sector. Ford's recent decision reflects a broader industry trend where profitability concerns overshadow the initial rush towards electrification. The company, once aggressive in its EV rollout plans, has now delayed several models, most notably pushing back the 3-row electric SUV and a large electric truck codenamed T3 to 2027. This delay is not just a minor setback, but a significant admission that the EV market's growth trajectory has not met expectation, particularly in the terms of customers' demand and profitability. Yes, they looked at Tesla and saw that they were able to sell millions of EVs and thought they could just do the same as Tesla. But either Ford and GM has ever surpassed 100,000 units of EVs sold in a year and are already having demand problems with their EVs with these small sales numbers, while Tesla is still selling 2 orders of magnitude more EVs than they are. Yes, they thought they could just copy what Tesla is doing and thought their loyal customers would just flock around their EVs. Like we saw in the beginning with Ford that saw such a huge demand for their F-150 Lightning when they announced it. That Ford doubled their target a couple of times in 2021, and in the beginning of 2022 they announced that they were now targeting a production of 150,000 units per year of the F-150 Lightning. The initial target was 40,000 vehicles per year, and they had an order backlog of 200,000 units on the F-150 pre-orders. But all of that demand and planned production seems to have apparently disappeared, as Ford has announced that Ford is again adjusting its vehicle roadmap, cutting EV spending from 40 to 30% and placing a heavy focus on hybrids. Oh dear. So the long-planned 3-row electric SUV has been scrapped. The new T3 electric pickup truck delayed 2 years to 2027, and they have now more focus on hybrids and commercial EVs. In 2023, Ford lost over $40,000 on every EV they sold, and they are on track on losing $5 billion here in 2025. So all in all, in my opinion, some very bad news for Ford. This decision to delay their new EV models until they can be profitable within the first 12 months of launching indicate Ford's caution approach now, aiming to avoid future financial strain. But I think this means that Ford will never get an EV off the ground if this is the case, because Ford is nowhere near being able to do that. Their Mark E has been out for almost 4 years, and is not profitable, and it has a much smaller battery than the F-150 Lightning, the most expensive part of an EV. And Elon said that they will have their Cybertruck being profitable by the end of this year, so it will take Tesla about 12 months to get that expensive beast to be profitable. But Tesla has also been in the EV business for 16 years and have made thousands of improvements and innovations to how they produce a car over that period. Some EV experience and innovation experience that we have not seen over at Ford for the last decade. So Ford is not going to make a new EV before they can do what Tesla does. But I doubt they will even be able to do that with their next-gen platform. So that does not sound good for Ford in my opinion. Because Ford will not become profitable at all on their current EV platform. It's just like Toyota realized when they had worked 5 years on getting their first BEV to market, the BZ4X, and found out that they would never be able to become profitable on that EV platform, no matter how much they scaled, as Toyota said themselves, and therefore had to come up with a whole new EV platform and scrap the brand new EV platform they just spent half a decade working on. And I think the same thing goes for Ford's EV platform. Just as CNBC showed us, it cost Ford $58,000 just in materials to build an EV as of now. So that is without labor cost, that is also going up for Ford thanks to the union, or anything else. It's only the materials, $58,000. So they can scale up as much as they want, but they will not become profitable at all on this current EV platform. But while this new strategy of delaying their next EV platform might secure Ford's financial health in the short term, it risks positioning the company as a follower rather than a leader in the EV market. And I think 2027 will be too little, too late to come with something new. As in 2027, Tesla will likely have at least 2 more affordable models on the market, but also that $25,000 next-gen EV. Ford will end up being so far behind they will never be able to catch up in time. Because not only is Tesla still dominating the EV market in the US, but the Chinese automaker are starting to make workarounds to get their EVs into the US market by exporting the cars to Mexico, and even have plans to build car factories in Mexico. This is, of course, due to the proximity of the US, but also because of the US-Mexico-Canada agreement that allows duty-free access to the US for cars made in Mexico with mostly local materials. So that is only a matter of time before we see BYD's factory up and running in Mexico. And that will probably happen before 2027 or maybe in 2027, just like with Tesla's factory in Mexico. So Ford and GM might think they're safe behind the US tax tariff wall on EVs from China, but they are already working on a workaround. So Ford can't just delay their EV adoption and think people will just wait until Ford is ready with their next generation platform. So it's not just Tesla that will continue to push out EVs and probably have at least 3 new models before Ford will bring 1 new model to market with their next generation platform. It is also the Chinese that are coming as well. And Ford is actually worse off than I thought. Remember this chart from AJ? Well, he has just updated that by adding Ford to the chart. And as you can see, Ford is likely the one that is burning through cash the fastest in their attempt to get EVs to the market. We can see they are losing cash much faster than Tesla ever did. And remember how many short sellers were screaming how Tesla was structurally unprofitable and would never get to profitability. Well, what do you call Ford's EV business then? Ford is losing as much money as Lucid is. And Søren Basher also made some charts trying to compare Ford's EV business to Tesla in the early days, and the yellow arrow you can see here on the charts is where Tesla introduced the Tesla Model 3. But as you can see, Ford is nowhere near doing as good as Tesla did, and everyone thought Tesla would go bankrupt. But Tesla got to profitability with their high volume sellers, the Model 3 and the Model Y. But Ford is not introducing any new models over the next 3 years, other than an EV van for commercial use. And they are having demand problem with their existing ones and these models will never become profitable. I think Ford is really stuck between a rock and a hard place. Ford, of course, doesn't share their free cash flow information about the EV business, but AJ tells us how he comes to this conservative and educated guess. Ford disclosed EBIT. EBIT is different from free cash flow primarily due to the lack of net capital expenditure and the effect from inventory changes. For this reason, EBIT understate negative EV cash flow. Additionally, disclosure of the EV segment doesn't go back far enough since Ford started working on EVs. For this reason too, the aggregated amount is understated. However, in the absence of better matrix, I thought the benefits of including Ford's EV business outweighed the inconsistency it introduced to the analytical insights this chart provides. If I had to make an educated guess, Ford would likely exceed Lucid's cumulative cash burn moderately, but would stay significantly below Rivian's. Hence, Ford is likely the second most cash-losing company among the shown group. Excluding Tesla, the shown EV makers lost a combined $73 billion. The top 4 cash burners, Rivian, Ford, Lucid and NIO, account for $50 billion or 68%. This is not good. With a company like Ford that is focused on the short-term profit, this is not a trend they are willing to continue. But this will be a devastating move long-term, in my opinion. I have just made a whole video about how Tesla's Cybertruck is eating into Ford and GM's lunch and will become a big threat over the next few years, as this is Ford and GM's bread and butter, and the Cybertruck has already surpassed Ford F-150 Lightnings in sales. According to the latest data from S&P Global Mobility reported by Automotive News, the Tesla Cybertruck ranked as the 5th most registered EV, not just EV pickup truck, but EV in general in the US in May 2024. Particularly, this arrives as noteworthy given that the Cybertruck only entered the US EV market in November 2023 and is still in its limited edition Foundation Series phase, with the price surpassing $100,000. And in the last 2 months straight, it has been the best-selling car in the US over $100,000. And we could see that in Q2 they outpaced the F-150 Lightning for the first time in a quarter. So even though the F-150 Lightning has been in production since April 2022, the Cybertruck has already surpassed it, even though it only started production in November. And everything about the Cybertruck is basically new technology, so that makes the ramp even more difficult, but still, it only took like 6 months for Tesla to catch up and surpass Ford. So, to give you an idea of how bad Ford is actually at ramping up their EV business, Ford started production and delivery of the F-150 Lightning about the same time as Tesla started production and delivery of the Model Y from their Berlin factory. But Ford is only producing and delivering about 40,000 Lightnings a year, and maybe even less this year, where the Tesla Berlin factory currently have an annual capacity of over 375,000 Model Y units. So if Ford starts a new production line from scratch again in 2027, they will probably not have any meaningful volume of EVs from that brand new platform before the end of the decade at best, and therefore not really be competitive in the EV market. China will probably be 100% BEV before Ford has meaningful amount of BEVs in production. This is simply not fast enough. Ford has done so many things right through the last few years, but I think Ford just showed their move that will make them obsolete. Ford was the one that I thought had the best chance of surviving this shift to EVs. But as they are backing down from basically all their ambitious EV targets, I no longer see them as a survivor of the EV race. I think they might have just killed themselves. As Facade also wrote after the last earnings call from Ford, Ford's earnings calls yesterday was a perfect showcase of the innovator's dilemma. They openly admitted that growing EVs at all costs is not part of their strategy. In a world where EVs are the only future form of transportation, this strategy seems like guaranteed bankruptcy. Yep, but as always, time will tell. If this was a great move from Ford and I will be proven wrong, or if this was the last move that really pushed Ford so far behind they no longer had a chance to catch up and be part of the future car market. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.